A true story. A legacy of struggle. Advice for a prosperous life. Listen, learn, apply, and remember. Have you ever wondered why some families seem trapped in cycles of poverty, crime, and struggle, while others seem to flourish generation after generation? It's a complex question, but history offers us a chillingly clear example of how one person's choices can cast a long, dark shadow for centuries. The story isn't about a famous king or a notorious criminal, but about an ordinary man named Thomas Wiles, whose legacy of neglect became a powerful lesson for us all. His life shows us that the small, everyday choices we make about work, education, and values can ripple outwards, shaping the destinies of our children, grandchildren, and even their children's children. So, how did one man's quiet indifference create a multi-generational crisis? Let us dive into the story of Thomas Wiles and uncover the hidden cost of a life without purpose. What you're looking for is already prepared. Link below. To understand this story, we have to go back to the year 1722 in New York. This is when and where Thomas Wiles was born. By all accounts, he wasn't a malicious person. In fact, he was described as being rather cheerful and easygoing. But there was a critical flaw in his character. He was fundamentally idle. He had a deep-seated aversion to any kind of discipline or structure. He actively rejected education, seeing no value in it. He turned his back on the idea of steady work, preferring a life of minimal effort. And perhaps most importantly, he had no interest in faith or any kind of moral framework to guide his life. He chose to live in a remote, crude shack, away from the expectations and responsibilities of society. There, he started a family, but he did so without any intention of providing them with the guidance, structure, or moral compass that every child needs. He was a father in biology only, not in practice. He simply existed, and his family grew up in the vacuum he created. This wasn't a home built on love and ambition. It was a household defined by what it lacked. Imagine growing up in that environment. For the children of Thomas Wiles, life was a lesson in neglect. There was no discipline to teach them self, no education to open their minds or provide them with skills. There was no spiritual foundation to give them hope, comfort, or a sense of right and wrong. The household was a place of instability and chaos. Without a father to model responsibility or a mother to instill character, the children were left to drift. They learned to survive, but not to thrive. They weren't taught about the importance of honesty, hard work, or caring for others. This wasn't just a poor family. It was a family suffering from a poverty of values. The lack of moral guidance meant that their lives were built on a foundation of sand, ready to crumble under the slightest pressure. This environment didn't just shape one generation. It set a destructive pattern that would be repeated over and over again. The true, staggering impact of Thomas Wiles' choices only became clear when researchers decided to trace his descendants. What they found was a shocking testament to the power of generational patterns. Over 5 generations, they tracked approximately 1,250 of his direct descendants. The statistics were devastating. Out of this family line, there were multiple convicted murderers. Over 150 were found to be criminals, convicted of various offenses. A significant number of the women became prostitutes, trapped in a cycle of exploitation. Hundreds were chronic alcoholics, struggling with addiction. A large portion of the family died prematurely, their lives cut short by their destructive lifestyles, and almost all of them lived in extreme poverty, dependent on public welfare to survive. The cost to society was enormous, not just in terms of welfare and legal expenses, but in the human suffering that spread through communities. Thomas Wiles' personal idleness didn't just harm himself. It unleashed a wave of social dysfunction that crashed over his family for more than a century. It's a powerful, real-world demonstration of the ripple effect. How one person's neglect can create a legacy of pain and struggle. So, what is the key lesson we can take from this haunting family history? It's that the absence of positive values is just as destructive as the presence of negative ones. A lack of guidance, a lack of discipline, and a lack of faith or moral principles can create and perpetuate cycles of struggle that are incredibly difficult to break. Thomas Wiles didn't teach his children to be criminals. He simply taught them nothing at all. He created a void, and that void was filled with despair, crime, and poverty. His story proves that generational patterns are very real. The habits, beliefs, and attitudes of one generation are often passed down to the next, whether we're conscious of it or not. The things we choose to ignore, the responsibilities we shrug off, the principles we decide don't matter. These decisions don't die with us. They echo through time, shaping the lives of those who come after us. This isn't about blaming ancestors for our problems. It's about recognizing the profound responsibility we have in the present moment. The story of Thomas Wiles is more than just a historical curiosity. It's a solemn warning. It serves as a stark reminder that our personal choices have public consequences. Neglecting our responsibilities and rejecting sound principles doesn't just affect our own lives. It profoundly impacts our family, our community, and the generations that will follow. We are all creating a legacy, every single day, with every choice we make. We can either choose to build a foundation of strength, integrity, and purpose, or we can choose indifference and allow a cycle of struggle to continue. The question isn't whether you will leave a legacy. You will. The question is, what kind of legacy will it be? Will it be one that empowers others, or one that burdens them? The choice is yours. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content that explores the powerful lessons from history. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The answer you need is closer than you realize. Advice package, link below. See you in the next one.